Hi. So it occurred to me that I have never actually properly introduced myself to the world, or YouTube, or Instagram, or whatever the place is. Um, I'm Tyler. That's pretty much the main gist. um, Obviously, I'm a yoga teacher, Tyler Soward's Yoga, but there's more to it than that, actually. Um, I just wanted to kind of sort of clean slate everything because I have had, my YouTube channel up for several years now, and I've been doing yoga for a while, teaching it, probably about 5 years. And there's been a lot of wild situations, a lot of it's been a wild ride, um, personally. Um, and I've had to reconfigure pretty much my whole life and the way I bring myself to the world and others and teach and all that, completely. I've had to totally reconstruct myself. And so any of the content that I made years ago is, fine, but I feel as though I've become a new person. I believe that we're always a bit of the person we've always been, some aspects of us. But I guess what I mean to say is I've done a lot of healing, and um, yeah, identities are just identities. They're temporary. Even Tyler as a person is temporary. When I die, there's no more Tyler. You know, it's a temporary structure that we can either consciously choose or unconsciously choose. Um, and a lot of culture, a lot of our society has unconsciously chose. I wouldn't even say choose. They've just unconsciously become whatever that identity they are now. That they may take, they may, prescribe to that, or they they don't and they resist it, or somewhere in between. And so I guess I've done a lot of conscious work and effort in seeing those identities that some of them were unconscious, carried over from childhood all the way through, early 20s, whatever. Yeah, I'm 34, by the way. We'll just go ahead and get that out of the way. And yeah, it took a long time for me to kind of uncover and dig out some of those unconscious identities. Um, and that's an ongoing process. I think that's just life. But for me, it has been ongoing, and I feel like it's time to like kind of restart it all. And I want you all to know, whoever's watching this, I hope it resonates. If not, okay, there's other people you can watch. It's cool. um, just to have, I guess, permission to really sit with those things that maybe might be hard or uncomfortable, or we're taught by society and culture and religion to, not talk about certain things, or just not bring stuff up. Those are a lot of the things that I've brought up, and most of it's been on my own for myself, and kind of in a hermit mode space. But in the last several months, I've actually come a lot more out of that hermit place, and started reaching out, and friends will help me kind of sort things out. And I've gone to a lot of different cacao ceremonies and yoga classes and things like that have all been very helpful. A lot of different things. I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is Inigo. If you haven't seen it in my other videos, Inigo is my dude. Inigo is about 4.5 years old. Wow, time flies. And he's still got it. I know he looks sleepy right now, but man, he is a firecracker when he gets going. He's an indoor-outdoor cat, and I've got this little cat door that's got an electronic chip reader, so it reads a chip in his neck or whatever and just lets him in, doesn't let like raccoons and other stuff in, because there's raccoons in my neighborhood, really, really big ones. Um, and yeah, so basically he goes in and out. It's great because I don't have to deal with litter box, but but I do have to deal with him bringing in small animals um, into the house, whether they're alive or dead. Sometimes they're alive. Like one time he brought in a squirrel that I had to capture and then release back out. So there's goods and bads, ups and downs. But he's my dude. Anytime I'm doing yoga or sitting in here, he comes in here and just does his thing. He senses it. But anyway, so yeah, let's see. Me. um, I am also a musician. I love music. I love sound. I love frequencies. Um, I have several instruments, and I want several more. I want like one of all the instruments if possible. Obviously, it's expensive to do that, but one day the dream is to have one of everything. Uh, not because I have to, but just because I love different sounds. I love the range of different sounds of different things. Even like rubber bands. I'm the kind of person that I'll even find sounds in like rubber bands, like where you hold it and or like the ruler in, I don't know if anyone else did this, in elementary school, you got a little ruler and you put it on your desk with your hand and you'd get it really long and then you'd kind of bounce it and it would go, and if you moved it back after you did that, it would like get higher, like a guitar string. Anyway, I could go on a whole tangent about that. Music, sound, all of it I love. You can't see it behind this right now, but I've got a keyboard, an acoustic guitar, electric guitar, a bass, banjo, violin, and yeah, it's most of it. But yeah, it's one of those things that I love to do, and I will be doing more. Um, by that I mean I will be performing more, not performing. I don't like the word perform, but like I'll be playing more. And um, music is just a great form of expression, but also it can be very healing. The frequencies themselves have the capacity to heal, and the opposite as well. So one of the next instruments I want to get is a sound bowl, actually, if you ever heard of that, crystal sound bowl, because they're super cool and very powerful. But yeah, music, let's see, obviously yoga. Yoga is something that I came to about 10, 11, 10, 9 or 10 years ago, from actually a friend of mine who introduced me to it and got me to go to a yoga studio in town, where it was nerve-wracking to me. It was very, I don't want to say scary. I was just kind of nervous, because well, obviously it was a whole new thing. Also, it was a studio, so it had that kind of like appeal of only certain people go here kind of vibe, whatever. But that was in my head. That wasn't actually the vibe. When I went, that vibe wasn't there at all. it was like I looked around and there was all different kind of people, and everyone was super nice, and no one was weird, and weird in the sense of like being like passive aggressive and not good things. None of that happened. Um, it was a great experience, and I kept going with her to this class every week, and over time I started to realize like, oh, this is really good. Like these people are all just trying to take better care of themselves, and I also want to take better care of myself. And at that point in time, I want to say I was doing decent in terms of taking my care of myself. It was, I think, shortly after a long span of time in my 20s where I was like, just like, not okay. um, I have actually been divorced, and so that is around when it happened. And at that point in time, I was kind of like a recovering uh, addict, sort of, from Adderall, actually. Yeah, this is getting deep. I'm going all the way there. And it was really hard to exist after losing that relationship. Um, I had never been married, but I knew that it was supposed to last longer than it did for me, and which wasn't long. And it kind of just crushed me. I've always been someone who's very deeply like passionate when it comes to love and relationships and romance and things like that, and just in general too. But it really like jaded me to love and being in love and other people being in love, and just love in general, which really was my whole world essentially. And so it just kind of, and so I started drinking a lot, like a lot, um, and just kind of putting my life off to the side, like putting, taking my, taking the responsibility that I could have taken for myself and just like pushing it to the side. Basically, like saying like, I'm done. I'm just gonna do all this crap and not deal with this because I didn't know how, and it was hard. It was painful. So I just kind of played the avoidance game for a long time, which I think everyone can relate to in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, we're human. That happens. Like that's a thing. Also, that's kind of how addiction works too. And I'll talk a lot more about addiction because I have been addicted to multiple different things in my life, and it's very important, I think, as a part of my own story for people to know that because, um, well, it, one, if you have ever dealt with addiction, you know you're not alone. And two, um, if someone's made it out of that, you know that there's just that little extra ember of hope that you could get out of it. And anyone can. It's just, it's a tricky thing. But that's a subject for another time. Where was I going? So, really, yoga was kind of came after a period of time where I was just, very self destructive, very like almost nihilistic, even. That's probably the closest I've ever been to nihilism. Um, and I didn't, I didn't take care of myself. So when I started doing this yoga with this girl, I, for the first time, it felt like maybe my whole life, but probably just for a long time, I found a way to take care of myself that wasn't just physical. It was all. It was total yoga. Yoga means to yoke or to bring together. So the idea is that it brings in all the aspects, physical, mental, spiritual, all of it. And it did that just by going to the classes, listening to the teacher, doing the thing over time, I just started to kind of get that a little bit. And, you know, it really, it really gave me the tools that I have, a lot of the tools I use now, even. Um, so yeah, yoga. And what else? I love to travel. Traveling is one of my all-time favorite things in the universe. It's so awesome. Um, the car I had during around that time when I was started doing yoga was a truck that was not very reliable. But I don't want to say recently. I've actually had my car now for like 6 or 7 years, but I have a Prius now. And since I got the Prius, I've traveled way more, and because it's just so easy. Like it's got great gas mileage, all that. But um, I've gone a lot of places, mostly the East Coast. But I love traveling, and not just in the country, like out of the country too. I've been to Hawaii. That was actually a field trip in high school that I took. That was super fun. I ate my weight in pineapple. It was so good. A little too much pineapple, actually. Um, let's see. Well, I've been to England, but me and my family lived there for a little while, which was pretty cool. I was super young though, so I don't remember too much of it. I do remember Stonehenge though. That was really cool. I've been to Ireland. I love Ireland. It's so good. Oh my God. If you haven't been, you should go. It's so good. I want to go back. I might not come back, actually. If I go back, I will probably just stay there. I don't know for how long, but it is fantastic. Highly recommend it. Very green. Air feels pure. I don't, if that's the right word. It's not pure, but the air just feels cleaner and purer in some unexplainable way, maybe energetic. I don't know. Um, and yeah, there's just so many good things. People are very nice for the most part. Um, there's a lot more sense of community there. It feels like people are much more apt to help each other and be part of something together in places around the city and in parks and stuff. Here, it's much more separate. Everyone feels like they're just kind of like in their own cubicles of life, you know? And that's a whole thing too, which could be a whole other talk. But yeah, that's I want to say that's I mean, there's so many things, man. I could talk about um I really I really want to continue the I really want to continue bringing myself to the world and to people, and bringing not just myself but my experience, um, and the learnings that can come with that experience, that can come through that, for other people. I love community. Community is one of my like all-time biggest, hugest, most important things to me. It honestly, it's kind of everything. And I think I'm thinking about this because of the Ireland thing. Um, I've noticed how separate that we all tend to be. Even when we come together, sometimes we can be kind of like zoned out in another world, not really present, and still kind of separate. You know, we get kind of like isolated in our head as well as our body. Um, and that's not anyone's fault necessarily. It's just a kind of a byproduct of our culture, and like just everyone just kind of does their own thing. Everyone just kind of goes on their phones and stays in their house, and it just kind of happens over time if you don't pay attention. So I want to bring people together in new and creative and fun ways. And I've been working on that actually, and there will be more more information about that as it comes. But yeah, even if it's just a yoga class, um, that is community. That is a form of community. It can be a community. Um, I have seen it where yoga classes are kind of isolated. Again, it's a mental thing, a cultural thing where people just kind of like have their own space, they do their own thing, and then they go. And that's fine, nothing wrong with that. Just I feel that we need more connection, um, way more connection, um, but not all at once. Obviously, if we spend a lot of time being separate, then we need some time to come back together. And I think that, it's easy to develop this all or nothing mentality, uh, which again, our culture kind of creates that all or nothing, black and white kind of thing, um, approach to like doing things, if that makes sense. So, you know, just finding ways to break out of the comfort zone, I would say, are very important. That has been a big, huge part of my healing journey and my expansion and awakening. I would say right now, um, this is the most awakened I've been, and that word is maybe loaded, whatever, but it's one of the only ways I can explain how I feel in the terms of like awakened is like a lot of my innate abilities and qualities that may have been suppressed over certain parts of my life through certain traumas and certain experiences that made me kind of close in and just kind of turtle shell, um, have opened back up. So awakening is kind of a word that makes sense, or I don't know. There's a bunch of different ways. It doesn't really matter. Words are words. Just a way to express something. It's like art with your mouth. um, yeah, I feel like it's been time to come and bring myself to the world again. So there'll be more yoga, obviously. Um, Meditation also is something that's very important to me, and people separate yoga and meditation, and some people don't. And the reason for that is that meditation is not as much of a physical thing that you can like see. Like obviously there's an aesthetic to meditation, which is, the whole thing, right? But that's not what meditation is though. That's just people just do this because that's what it looks like. That doesn't mean that's what it is. Meditation can be done while you're walking. Meditation can be done in a lot of different forms. Um, Walking is harder though because you have to focus on where you're stepping. You have to focus on other people if there's people around, this and that. The reason why that usually doesn't work is because the focus in meditation ideally should be like all in one spot, like centered. And that's why a lot of people don't meditate walking. But it's possible, it's just really hard. So, anyway, meditation has been a huge one for me in terms of finding peace. I would say finding peace in myself and in just my body. That combined with yoga has helped me find peace in my body and my soul and my mind, especially my mind, which wants to just throughout my life, it's been just very crazy. Um, but it has helped so much in helping me center, and overcome fear as well. Um, so yeah, let's see. What else we got, Annie? So I really, really feel it's very important, um, to be authentic. And that doesn't mean that you have to tell people about every single detail of your life. Being authentic means not giving into fear and not letting fear hold you back from expressing what you need to express. Um, and I hope that I can be a vessel of like example for that moving forward as well. Like, again, if you need permission, sometimes we just need to see that other people are willing and able to do whatever their thing is, whatever the hard thing is, whatever the difficult thing to say or feel or do. And every time we see someone do that in a way that really is authentic, it gives us that hope, that inspiration, that ember to move forward in our lives, to do the thing that's hard, to go for our goals, even if they seem, infinitely far away. So I hope I can be that for whoever needs it. And if not, that's okay. I mean, I am a very imperfect person, but also perfect too. Like, perfect in the imperfection, like we don't, perfect isn't real. It's a concept we've made up. I think authentic is the new perfect. Authentic is perfect. Being yourself is perfect, is what I believe. And that's what I'm trying to do. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm just, on the path to that. So, So yeah, let me see. Oh yeah, so I also love oracle decks, animal spirit guides, any kind of spirit guides. I believe in angels and archangels, spirit guides in any form, animals and otherwise. You could say aliens, humans, whatever, it doesn't matter. Spirit is spirit, it's energy. We are spirit, we are energy. It's the difference between physical and spiritual really isn't any. They're the same thing. They're just different expressions of the same thing, if that makes sense. So yeah, I actually experienced a very intense loss of a person in 2016 who was my girlfriend, and this is getting deep, but we're doing it because it's part of this. She took her own life, and part of me gripped on to shame and guilt about her doing that, like it was somehow my fault because I couldn't help her or keep her from doing it or this or that. And man, it just like the divorce thing. This was more though. This sent me reeling into a full-blown dark night of the soul, and is what they call it. It's basically just like really tough times, basically. It basically made me have to completely reconfigure how I looked at not just the world, not just myself, but life and like death and like the whole scheme of everything. Like everything. I had to like back to square one, like that's done, blank page. Let's figure this out now. And in that process, I actually like, it was like a, what's the term? Kind of a bottom, like a low for me in terms of my life, my energy, like kind of a rock bottom sort of. But it helped, it gave me the ability to see from a different perspective, which was one of compassion for people who have lost anyone, compassion for pretty much everyone, including myself, which took more time, um, because I knew what pain was. Like I was really, really well acquainted with pain. And so I didn't want anyone else to have to ever feel that. And that's not realistic, but it gave me it made me look at that in a different way. And it totally reconfigured my outlook. So when that happened, I actually started experiencing what people would call spiritual experiences, which you could call, ghosts or spirits, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just a name. It's just energy. Again, it's just energy. And what I learned through this experience is that when someone dies, they're not gone. This part is gone, but they're not gone. Their energy remains. Their energy carries through. And there's no real easy way to explain how I know that, because it was a series of experiences over the next few years after that that just kind of gave me that truth. A few being very, I guess you could say, spooky, where like her voice would come through when I was, had my headphones in on the computer, like her voice would come through. She came through in like what was it, an audio that I was listening to. It's hard to explain. That'll have to be another video. But anyway, I learned that there's a veil that's invisible, that basically there's really not really a separation between those worlds. It's just a visual, like our senses haven't been able to pick it up exactly. Now our intuition, certain aspects of us do pick up on it, but a lot of people are either trained out of those senses or feared out of them through like religion and things like that and culture. A lot of us have been, even without knowing it and unconsciously, like kind of removed from those abilities, but they exist. And through a couple of people too, I met a medium, psychic medium is what she would call herself, who actually channeled her spirit to me in a way that was so concisely accurate that I just burst into tears. I just completely lost my mind. And because it was her, and there's no way I can fully explain it. It's just, I knew it was her, and it like exploded my heart. I just cried, and I was like, how is this real? And she, this woman was very compassionate, very beautiful person. She, we talked for a while and kind of sorted through it, and she explained to me that she does that. That's just what she does. And sometimes when people come through for her as a message to a person who's still alive, it can be very intense, very, very, very loud. And she has to choose how she channels that to a person, or if she channels that to a person. But she felt that it was right. And I'm glad she did, because it changed my whole life. It changed my whole life. Like what I had already kind of thought might be real, like life after death, I now knew like it is. It is. Like there is no, well, not life after death, but a different form of what we've all been taught to believe death is. And that brought me a lot of peace. And I worked with her spirit a lot, and to bring her peace, her spirit peace, because her spirit was not completely at peace in that moment when I got that connection. And I did a lot of like spirit crossings and explain that later, and meditations and things like that to help her kind of find her way back. And that is a whole conversation for another time. There's so many details to that. But essentially, I could feel the moment when she really like let go. What happened was her spirit, when she ended her physical life, kind of got stuck a little bit, sort of trapped slightly in kind of an in-between space between physical and fully crossing over, because she was still holding on to her physical life, an energy that was so intense and heavy. And I was holding on to it as well. And part of her not letting go was me not letting go. And when I let go, she let go. It's so hard to explain, but when it happened, I could feel it, like my chest opening, like my heart completely opening. And again, just cried, floodgates, cried like crazy. I cry a lot also. That's another thing. And that's been kind of interesting and challenging as a man, because there are a lot of preconceptions about men don't cry or can't cry or this or that. And a lot of people don't subscribe to that, but you know, some people, even if unconsciously, do kind of have that. And I've had to do a lot of work in letting go of what people think and not caring, because we have to just be who we are and feel our emotions. It's so important that we let ourselves express and feel shit, you know? Like, we gotta feel shit. We have to. If we don't, it's just gonna go like this. It's gonna create like a pressurization, and that pressure will eventually explode if we don't find a way to release it. It's really simple. It's just, you know, it's a thing. But, so yeah. I want to say I have come a long way. I have come a long way. I've come a very, very long way. And it's been an interesting journey, because I've realized that a lot of my own personal power throughout my life, I've tended to give it away or give it to other people, or just not sit in my own personal power. And that would create situations that didn't go so great for me. And ironically, it didn't go great for them either, because it turns out when someone doesn't sit in their own power and sort of gives it away to someone else, they're going to lose out too, because though they may be getting some of that energy, it's not a positive energy. And for that reason, it kind of creates this feedback loop of negativity that doesn't really work out for anybody. Sort of like the idea of energy vampires, and you know, people who are very super nice, like too nice, and then energy vampire takes, you know, advantage of the nice person, and you know, kind of like that kind of like energy dynamic. I've learned what that means and how that works, and learned how to hold my own energy and hold my own space, and you know, have boundaries and set boundaries and say boundaries with people. And I've not always done great. Definitely have messed up so many times. I've lost relationships because those things were not done correctly or well or this or that. But you know, that's life. Sometimes we try and you know, it doesn't go great. But a lot of times what happens when we try and it doesn't go great, we, you know, negatively reinforce that we should never, you know, set boundaries again or say what we mean again. But that's not what should happen. What should happen is we got to keep trying. We've got to understand that some people will resonate and some people will not. That's just kind of how it goes. And the people that will resonate will show up and will be there for you. but you have to be brave enough to come up and out and say what you need to say. And that's something I have literally worked through for so long. And again, some of my deepest healers for me have been yoga, meditation, and actually cacao. So yeah, so cacao, not cocoa, cacao, like cacao. It's chocolate, but it's not chocolate. Cacao is like the original source, origin point for what chocolate is. But cacao in its like raw, more pure form, if you can find it, like very like slightly processed and fermented correctly, like processed correctly, is super healing and powerful. It is a massively powerful plant medicine. And I've been taking it as a medicine, as a plant medicine, as a ceremony, in a cacao ceremony that I do for myself, but eventually want to do for others. We'll get to that. I've been doing that as a form of kind of amplifying this healing that I've been doing with yoga and meditation and also journaling, which is another subject. But cacao has this ability to like expand and open your heart. It actually opens your blood vessels. It vasodilates your blood vessels. So more heart can actually enter into the heart. More blood can enter into the heart. More heart can enter into the blood, you know? And so physically it has that aspect, but it's also very deeply spiritual. So again, there isn't really a separation between spirit and physical. It's just a veil, like like if you have a door and it's got a door on it, there's a separation. But if you got a doorway and it's got like a curtain, is there a separation? Like you could walk right through it, you can't see through it. That's kind of what spirit and physical are, essentially. It's just a veil that we can go through. We just don't see that we can go through. Anyway, cacao opens those channels and gives you this ability to feel from an emotional heart space, because that's where our emotions are processed and transmuted and transformed into energy, our heart. So like, you feel love or loss or grief or pain or, emotional pain. It's centered in the heart space, in the heart chakra, around here. And it isn't even centered necessarily in a specific spot. It's just transmuted through that vessel, I guess you could say. So cacao gives you the ability for that energy to transmute into new energy. And sometimes that takes the form of crying. Sometimes that takes the form of having visions. Sometimes that takes the form of just being totally present, feeling grounded. It can take a lot of different forms. None are necessarily right or wrong. And that's, I think, what's so tricky about all of this, is that sometimes you're like, am I doing it right? Am I supposed to feel this way? And that's the whole thing, is like, well, you feel how you feel. No one said you have to feel this way or that way. I mean, some people do say you have to feel this way or that way, but that's not true. Feel however you feel. It's kind of it's wild how shut off we can get when we go from here almost entirely, and from here almost not at all. But again, culture, society, religion, it's definitely, it centers us more here than here. And that's something that we have to find a path through, living in this modern society. And again, for me, yoga, cacao, meditation, those things have done that. That's been my path. But everyone has different paths. So yeah, those are things that I do and would like to share with you, in the future, going forward, whoever resonates, um, because it has helped me. I believe it can help others as well. And there are more things than just that. There are so many more things. Again, music, sound, um, art. Even talk about art. So art is very healing as well. It's another medium that we can use as a form of expression, creative healing. So there's a lot of people that say, I'm not creative. And I hear that a lot. Or I'm not an artist, which is, that one could kind of make sense. But people say I'm not creative, like they can't create things. Like they're not an artist. And I'm like, well, no, you are creative. We're all creative. Even if you're doing something very highly logical and you're finding a solution to whatever it is, you're still being creative in the process of getting to wherever you're going. It's just not, a Picasso painting at the end of it. You could be creative doing an Excel spreadsheet. Very logical, but you can, infuse your creativity into whatever you're doing. So if you're an accountant, you can be creative in how you find solutions to making sure people's finances are correct. Like very logical, but it's very creative. It's like you are creative. We are born creative. We are creators. We are creators. And, this goes into the concept of being made in the image of a creator. Like we have come here to create. And through that creation and expression, we create energy. And when we do that, other people have the opportunity to see and feel and experience that. One, that gives them permission to do that themselves. Two, that could change something in them that needs to change. For instance, there are pieces of art that I've witnessed and seen that shifted things in my heart, that changed me on a molecular level, emotional too. Like certain pieces of art are so powerful and can change you from a heart space, from a whole other level. That can't be done in another way. It has to be done that way, in that instance, for that experience. So art is very powerful, very healing. When we create art, it's very healing. It gives us this sense of purpose, It has the ability to heal so many things. And so that's another thing that I'm also really into. Most of what I do personally is like sacred geometry type stuff. Very, I guess you could say it's sort of logical in its own right, but it's also not at the same time. I get crazy with it sometimes. I do spirals, whatever. But art is very important, very, very healing. And yeah, that's pretty much what I got for now. So yeah, if this resonates, please let me know, or like the video or whatever. And if not, okay. I just hope that whoever this does resonate for is able to find that own space within themselves, to move through discomfort, to move through, pain into something more helpful. And again, there's so many different ways to do that. But the most, I'd say, basic, easy, and important way to do it is through breathing. It's literally right here. Oh, he's being really cute right now. He's making the little noises. Oh my God. It's through your breath. And this is something you can do anytime, anywhere. So I'll actually show you right now. So if you want to, you can find somewhere to sit and just sit comfortably, is what we say in yoga. Sitting comfortably does not mean you have to be cross-legged. You can have your legs out. You can have your legs planted, whatever you want. But we want to be comfortable so that we're not holding on to energy and tension and releasing as much muscle activity as we can. So let your hands rest in your lap or together. Let your eyes start to close, just fall shut. And just start to notice the rhythm of your breathing. Give the muscles of your face permission to soften. Your eyebrows can soften. Rock the jaws side to side, and then release. Allowing the lips to part and teeth to part. Allowing the shoulders to drop all the way down. And take one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart or heart chakra, your chest. Let the elbows soften. And feel your breath through your hands. Air is invisible. Breath is invisible. But right now, it is visible through our body, through the movement of our torso, of our belly, of our chest. Something that is unseen is now seen. Not only seen, but felt. Just remember this moving forward in your life. There are unseen energies in everything. But the most important energy is your own. Because as you move through your life, through your days, your energy affects others. It's so important that we take care of our own energy first and foremost. Oh yeah, you're really good at that. You're fiercely independent, man. Now take a deep breath in, starting from the bottom of the belly, going all the way up to the top. Hold for a brief moment. Sigh the breath out. Deep breath in. Breathe in a little more. Hold. Let it go. Breathe all the way out. And one more big, big breath. Without straining, breathing all the way in. Hold for a brief moment. Notice that space. Release all the air out. Notice that little space at the bottom. And let your hands down and breathe normally. That is a very basic, simple, grounding breathing practice you can do. You could even be standing in line at the grocery store, at a stoplight at your car, something. You can do this anywhere. Obviously, it's easier and better to be sitting, somewhere stationary in your house, whatever. But this is available. This breath is available all the time. Literally everywhere, all the time. So, whenever you can, just remember to breathe. Even if it's just one big breath and one big breath out. At any time, that could shift your whole day, your whole week. Could change something in your head, in your mind, in your heart. So, that is what I will leave you with. Also I have an ocarina. So, I missed this one. I also like video games. I don't play them as much now. Been really focused on other things. But growing up, I played a lot of video games. And one of those games was The Legend of Zelda. And in that game, they had an ocarina, which is an instrument, wind instrument. So I'll play you a little bit of that. Apparently it's cuddle time. And Inigo says, okay, you're done. Time to cuddle now. Thank you, everyone. Whoever has seen this, whoever has watched this, if you made it this far, truly thank you. That is impressive. Thank you for being here, for being a part of this. And I will be doing more videos, more offerings, and I will be sharing more about that going forward. More details are on the way, but yeah, I'll be seeing you soon. And Inigo will see you soon too, but not for too long, because he wants cuddles. Gotta have them. Okay, now I have to go turn the video off, buddy. Thank you.